afternoon. I'm J. Lenora Bressler, and welcome to the August, 8th, 2017 edition of the Bible, Delight in the Details. Today we're going to look at a passage from the wisdom book known as Ecclesiastes, attributed to the wisest man who ever lived. That would be, of course, King Solomon, who also proved that being wise didn't mean you couldn't make foolish mistakes. Let that be a lesson to us all. Today we're going to look at a wise statement that he made, though, in chapter 5, verse 18 of the book of Ecclesiastes. He said, "This I have observed, that it is appropriate for a person to eat, to drink, and to find satisfaction in his toilsome work under the sun, in the few short days the Lord has given him. For this is his lot." We are told in other places in the Bible that we are to work as to the Lord, regardless of whether you have a position that's high and mighty or rather lowly and meek, something that the world would think of as very significant, maybe even glamorous, or something that most people maybe might not even want to do. It doesn't matter. You are to do it to your very best ability, not necessarily because your boss deserves it, or even that your customers and clients do, but because the Lord does. And you work as to the Lord. It doesn't even matter if it's your passion, if it's the thing that you feel you've been called to do, or it's a temporary job just to pay some bills and get you through a rough patch. Still, we are to work as to the Lord. In just a few weeks, in October, the world will celebrate the 500th anniversary of the Reformation. And because I've been asked to help with some festivals for my church and also for Tristan's school, I've been reading up on it again. And I was reminded of something, and that is that Martin Luther, the great Protestant reformer, had a lot to say about people's work, their vocations, reminding people that vocations, work, is a calling. It actually comes from the Latin vocare, and we sometimes think about ministers and missionaries having a calling, being called out, but you know, God's people are everywhere, in every kind of walk of life. And Martin Luther, perhaps more than any other of the church, the people that really shaped church history, had a lot to do with changing people's views of their work as being a possible ministry field and being something that was sacred. You know, before Martin Luther, people really felt like that you were closer to God. You had to be if you were a priest or a preacher, because of the way that you were working. Your work was drawing you closer to God. But Martin Luther said, no, that's not actually necessarily true. That it may be that you could have someone who is very who's a pastor, but isn't very close to the Lord, actually. And yet you could have a layman who is in a field very much different from the ministry, and yet they are very close to the Lord. And so, remember, excuse me just a second. Yes, Tristan, you can have your food. Sorry, excuse me. Back to it. Little mother break there.
I didn't know it was right.
You didn't know. Yes, you couldn't understand this. You know, when I'm telling him, just go away. No, Tristan, not quite up on the uptake right there. I digress. Well, that's about all I wanted to say. I hope you keep safe in the storm. We will continue to try to broadcast as we can throughout this weekend. But in case the transmission goes down, you can't get to us or we can't get to you, remember who's in control. Our God is greater than any storm, no matter what category. I'm J. Lenora Bressler, wishing you and those you love a safe weekend. Visit me next on the Bible, Delight in the Details. Bye-bye.